go. Cross your fingers. All right, everybody, it's getting pretty late. Battery's about to die, but I want to give you one last update before I put this back together. I said I was going to switch the throttle pedal bracket assembly from the drive-by cable throttle to the drive-by wire throttle. This is what actually needs to get switched, guys. So on the right, this is the stock drive-by cable throttle bracket assembly. The brake pedal is made onto it. It's all one unit. So you have to get this out of there. This on the left is the drive-by-wire throttle bracket assembly. The biggest difference here is obviously this has the pieces bent out for the drive-by cable throttle to pivot on, but also the mounting bolts here. I need those bolts to be able to mount my electronic throttle pedal. As far as I can tell, everything else about these is identical, but I need these bolts to mount it, and I need this bent up piece out of my way. This part's, I mean, it's remove and replace. There's nothing overly complicated to it, but if you want to do this and you want to have it look like factory, it's a pretty in-depth job to do this. The steering column has to come out. The brake booster has to be unbolted from the firewall and slid forward into the engine compartment, and all the ancillary stuff attached to it needs to be removed. So these little attention to detail things are what makes the difference, in my opinion, between someone that takes pride in it and somebody that just slapped it together. Yes, it's a hassle, but in my opinion, it's the right way to do it. So I've got them both out. Now I just need to get my drive-by-wire throttle and brake pedal assembly installed back into Alan's truck. All right, everybody, so you can see I've got this thing all back together. The only thing I have left to do is get the hood back on it and drive it a little bit. Actually, that's not true. So I need to do a little bit more investigating and see where I can find under the fuse panel here. I was talking about checking all the wires in one of the connectors under the fuse panel. It's actually connector 100. Now, I'm not sure. The only reason I can think of is it's got to be because this truck originally had the V6, and the V6 used a drive-by cable throttle, and because of that it used, you know, a cable actuated cruise control module. So my connector 100 here under the fuse panel is missing a couple wires on the truck side of the connector that are there for cruise control. If I remember correctly, one of them is there for the cruise control on acceleration signal, and I think the other is it's another cruise control signal that the PCM is going to need to operate the cruise control. So I need to do some digging and find out those. I just have to assume those two wires are in the harness, in the truck harness here somewhere, because even with the cable actuated system, it would still need a, hey, they turn the cruise control on signal, or hey, they hit the set accelerate button, so this is the speed they want. So I need to look, see if I can find the pin out for the connector that goes to the cruise control module, and then figure out which of those wires has the data that I need, the signal that I need, and get that run over and connected into that C100 connector. Other than that, it's all put back together. Got the drive-by-wire throttle pedal installed. can't tell I was ever here. And that was the goal. So I'm actually at a point that I can get done early for the night. I think it's only like 10:30. So I'm going to call it for the night. Hopefully my U-joint, my adapter joint will be here tomorrow. I can get that rear drive shaft put in. I'm going to change the oil, put a fresh filter in the transmission, top everything off with fluid, and then we'll get it out of the garage, and I'll get hopefully my wife or somebody to help me get the hood put back on this thing. And hopefully tonight I can find the information I need about that connector to get the wires over there so his cruise control works the way it should. But that's it for tonight, team. Not a huge update. Everything was just putting everything back together to where it was. Hey everybody, it's the next day. So I think I have everything to finish this today. I believe I have the last couple parts that I needed. I believe that I found the information that I need to get the cruise control working. And yeah, get these couple parts in and then get a little bit of wiring done. It's really like 3 wires. Yeah, like 3 wires, and then I think this thing will be good to go. I'm going to start by getting the rear drive shaft into it so I can sit it down on the ground. So I've got this U-joint here. This is a Moog 447 U-joint. Now, the reason I'm going this route is that U-joint is readily available. Most of the auto parts stores in my area have them in stock. There's lots of different ways you could do this, but this doesn't require any machining, doesn't require any special tools. All you got to do is replace the U-joint and match everything up with the parts that you need. So I'm going to bang this out real quick. I've done videos on replacing U-joints before, so I'm not going to bore you with it. I'll put a link to the video up here for you in case you need it. And yeah, I'll get this thing swapped over so I can get it poked up into the transmission, connected to the rear end, and get the truck set back down on the ground. So that universal joint I got adapts the 1500 two-wheel drive shaft to the 1500 four-wheel drive output yoke. And that helps make up for the longer transmission, but still has all the right dimensions to fit on the output shaft, to ride in the bushing like it should, to ride in the seal like it should, and everything else works. And like I said, readily available parts. There are 1500. I throw the rear drive shafts away. I have so many from 1500 four-wheel drive trucks. You can go to any junkyard and find them. You can probably order them new online for relatively cheap as well. So that's the actual yoke we're going to be putting onto the end of this drive shaft to mate it up to the 4L80E and get it put back in the truck. All right, everybody, so there you can see it. I've got the drive shaft with the adapter joint and the yoke from the 1500 four-wheel drive installed. It's bolted up tight to the rear axle. And as you can see, I am just a little over half into the transmission. The splined portion of the yoke there is about 5 inches. I've got about 1 3/4 inches still exposed. So the rest of it is all the way in. That gives me plenty of spline engagement on the output shaft. Let me see here. You can see there's no wiggle or jiggle on the output shaft. So my yoke is nice and secure there. It's not going to have any issues. And should be good to go for many miles of fun and enjoyment. Plus, like I said, readily available, easily attained parts that you should be able to get that U-joint at almost any auto parts store, and you should be able to find that yoke. I mean, freak, there are millions of these trucks, so any junkyard should have one. And if not a junkyard, I'm sure you can find them brand new online as well. And while I'm under here, there also is my 4L60 to 4L80 adapter cross member. Like I said, I got that for $75 online. It came painted, ready to go. Bolted it in, easy peasy. So that's really the only hard parts you need to convert from 4L60 to 4L80 in a two-wheel drive truck. All right, so truck's back on the ground. I'm working on the last little bit of wiring I need to do. Now, because I'm converting from a drive-by cable system that had a cruise control module right here, now I have my TAC module mounted in the same place. But with the drive-by cable system, two of my important cruise control wires go to, they carry a signal to that module, and now I need them to carry a signal to the PCM. So what I need to do to correct that is get those wires out of the plug that went to the cruise control module, which is right here. And I'm going to run those wires, or actually I'm going to take them out of the looming as far as I can and bring them back over here to the main engine harness. And then I'm going to put them in where they need to be on the back of this connector here. This is connector 100. So the two wires that I need, one is this gray wire. You'll see it's on the engine side of the connector, third wire in, but it's not here on the truck side of the connector. And that gray wire is my cruise control on switch signal. Basically, that's the one that when you press the little button on the end of the stick, it tells the PCM, hey, they're going to use cruise control. The other wire that I need is all the way over here on the end of connector 100, position S. You see it's in the engine harness as a light gray wire with a black tracer, and it's not here on the truck side harness. That is for my cruise control, resume, accelerate switch. That's basically, you know, if you hit the brakes to slow down and then you want to speed back up, you press that button and it automatically brings you up to the speed you are at. Or if you want to speed up, you can hold that button and it will gradually increase your speed. So I need to get those two wires out of this connector, and fortunately they are color coded the same, and I should have plenty of wire to be able to pull it back out of the looming all the way back over to here, and then just route it in the looming right into the fuse panel and get it into the connector here. Now, once I do that, then all of my electrical work should be done. I should have all of my, you know, engine functions working, fan functions, everything should be good to go. So I'll just need to get it out of the garage, get the hood back on it, and test drive it and make sure everything works the way it should. If you're wondering where I'm getting my information from, the pinouts for the connectors and even the harness diagrams, circuit diagrams, wire schematics, all of this stuff I found on lt1swap.com. I'll put a link in the description for you. I'll put the web address right here. But that website is so valuable working on these GMT 800 trucks. He has, I mean, every pinout you could imagine needing, every wire harness you could imagine looking for needing, every diagram, every schematic. Like, if you're going to be messing with these trucks, take some time and visit lt1swap.com. And I'm not sponsored or anything, but it's such a valuable tool that I have to tell you guys about it. I wouldn't even know where to start if I wasn't able to go in there and look up what all these wires do in this connector and where I could find them to be able to run them over here and make the cruise control work. So it's going to be tedious unlooming, relooming, wrapping, etc., etc. So I'm just going to get that done and then probably spend some time cleaning the garage and then hopefully get this thing out of here. Well, that was pretty straightforward. Honestly, very, very easy as far as wiring goes. I got my, so you can't even see it, but back here, here's my old connector from the cruise control module. I took the 2 wires out of that I needed. The rest of it will be just hidden back here. And I ran those 2 wires over in the looming. You can't even see that I did anything. Under the fuse box to that C100 connector. Pinned them in. They're good to go now. So cruise control should work exactly how it's supposed to. The nice thing about the drive-by-wire engines is the cruise control is just so much simpler. Yeah, it's just so much simpler to get it wired up. So that's good to go. I'm going to start it up, heat cycle it again, make sure the transmission is full. Now that I've got it sitting flat with a rear drive shaft in it, make sure the transmission engages in forward and reverse the way it should. And then I got to move a bunch of stuff so I can actually get this thing out of the garage. It's Friday evening now. I really want to get this thing back to Alan either tomorrow on Saturday or on Sunday. It's just I got to put some miles on this thing and make sure I'm happy with it. It's doing everything it should be doing. There's no problems. I didn't miss anything. I didn't forget anything, stuff like that. Because I want to deliver a finished product. I want him to be able to get in it, turn the key, drive, do whatever he wants to do. Never know that this isn't how the truck came from the factory.